stand still in honeydew, and the wind can blow right through you. But I got a good man to keep me warm at night. Yeah, I almost forgot I was in paradise. Well, they give us a bed and give us something to eat. The nicest folks here that you ever did meet. Yeah, you could go the whole day and never see the sunshine. Yeah, you could almost forget I was in paradise. Gonna get up and go into the town, find the warmest bar and throw our money around. We've been working so hard, we gotta treat ourselves nice before we ever forget we were in paradise. Oh, my back is breaking. You know my hands are aching. But if we stay here one more week, make the money that we need, then we'd be truly happy. Time stands still in honeydew. Time stands still in honeydew. Well, it looks so real that I gotta look twice. Yeah, I almost forgot I was in paradise. Yeah, I almost forgot I was in paradise.
Are we live?
Yeah,
Oh,
live.
snap. Bundy the podcast live. Welcome back to another episode. This is the podcast where I introduce or interview people from all over the place, usually musicians, but today we're going to have a podcast host on. It's going to be great. Before we start, I want to give a shout out to my Patreon subscribers at patreon.com/BundyLBC. These are the sweet babies who help us with a little bit of their hard-earned cash to help keep the lights on and to get more guests to the door. Thank you so much to Allison, Anthony, Brenda, Donut Sounds Records, Darian, Ellen, Federico, George, Gustavo, Julio, Manny, Marvin, Paul, and Shane. Thank you guys so much. And if you, the viewer, like what we do and you want to support the show, head over to patreon.com/BundyLBC. And I want to say thanks to Derek over here. What's up, Derek?
Hey, how's it going? Big news this week, right?
You got big news?
Yeah, you have a official sponsor.
Oh, we got, that's right, we got new sponsors this week.
Yeah, this week brought to you by 7-Eleven menthol cough
fresh.
drops. Yeah, they say 7-Eleven cough drops. They're
Yeah.
not as good as the name brand.
Yeah.
But they're close.
Yeah.
They're really
pretty
close.
They're pretty good.
They're not bad.
I use them.
Yeah, I've never used them because, come on,
Because you're a name brand kind of guy.
I'm a name brand kind of guy.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But people of the show know, the fans of the show know that I use them.
Yeah, now they know.
Yeah, that's important. Thanks so much for the sponsorship.
I'm happy that it happened. You're welcome.
Yeah. And
Thanks, 7-Eleven.
Today's guest is Stephen. How are you?
Pretty good.
You have a podcast called the Megaman Podcast.
Yes.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about it?
The Megaman's podcast I started where I did another podcast, George Perez Stories. He invited me on, and it was my first time. I was like, oh, what's a podcast, you know?
Yeah.
So I did his podcast, and for some reason, I was always going on my stories, on my live, on my Instagram, and all of a sudden, it's like, you know what? Someone told me, like, hey, why don't you start a podcast? You're always on live, start a podcast. So my first interview I did, Martin Rizzo, Squad by the Bell. He told me, hey, I want to invite you on the, on my podcast. So I did, and we did a podcast. Everything came out good. Got a lot of love and everything. He told me about, like, hey, you should do your podcast called Anchors and everything. I hope you. So we did.
Oh, the app Anchor.
App Anchor,
Yeah.
And I did and everything. And all of a sudden, I was just playing around with it. And I put an intro for like 36 minutes, whatever. And I was like, you know what? I don't want to do it. And all of a sudden, it was spreading out. And one day, I had over like 60 to 50 people paying, hey, when's the next episode?
Nice.
I did on
Awesome.
accident.
That's great.
And I was like, well, what are you talking about? So I went to Anchors and looked at the numbers. In 1 month, I had over like 323 people listening to the episode.
That's great.
But I was
It
like,
was like a surprise hit for you.
surprise hit. I was like, okay.
And that was only from the one episode that you did? The
One
intro
episode, yeah.
Very
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, and everything.
Shout out to Anchor, man.
Yeah, they did everything. And I, for some reason, I don't know what was I doing, because I know I listen to podcasts a lot. But what do I say? What do I do? So I was just doing whatever
I feel like
can.
some people just have a natural inclination for it. Like some people, they're very shy, they're very reclusive, and they don't know like necessarily how to like just think of something off the top of their head.
Yeah.
But I feel like people who do podcasting, a lot of times are just like off the cuff. Like a lot of times I don't even know what I'm going to say before I finish talking. Yeah, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Do you
It's very
feel like
surprising to hear.
it's not? He's being sarcastic. But do you find that it's easy for you to talk to guests and stuff?
Yeah, it's more easier because it helped me on my social skills.
Okay.
Because I used to be a loner. I used to be really, really shy. So it
Uh-huh.
helped me open up to people and make more friends and talk to a lot of people. So it helped me on that.
You were a loner before you started the podcast.
I had friends here, but I was like, when I was little, after till I was like 21, 22, I was like really, really shy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was really shy too when I was a kid. I feel like I couldn't, like, if my mom was like, "Can you call the grocery store to ask them if they have this?" I'd be like, "No, I can't. Get the phone away from me." That's social anxiety. I still don't like answering the phone though. That's a different situation. But yeah. And then so when you went to, was it in your 20s? Did you like go to college or anything at that time?
I went to college for like 1 year, but it didn't suit for me because like with my mom and my dad, they didn't want me. They didn't see me as college material, so I didn't have that.
Ouch.
I didn't have that guidance with my parents because I
Sure.
was in a broken home. So it was. It's pretty much in a way I learned everything by myself.
Yeah. What'd you go to college for?
I wanted. Well, I was just doing like general
Just general
studies.
ed, right?
Yeah, general.
You do general. See, this is how little I know about college because I didn't go. You do general ed, and then eventually you pick a major like down the road, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I wanted to, if I was to go back, then what I know now, I wanted to be a registered nurse.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not an unregistered nurse. Yeah, not doing it in the back alley, just like giving someone a tonsillectomy.
Yeah.
Homeless guys for crack. So a registered nurse though. Why a registered nurse?
Just wanted to help out, something more. It was more like job security and everything and stuff like that.
You said earlier before we started the podcast that you started yours because you wanted to help kind of spread the word about like businesses. What were you saying? It was like the next month of a podcast you're going to do. You're going to try to spread the word about businesses.
So we have to go kind of rewind. So when I did the Megaman's podcast, I didn't know what I was doing. I was trying to find my way. So I was just saying whatever, going on maybe on rants or talking about beers.
It was just you by yourself.
Yeah, it was solo. I did a lot of solo and I did a lot of soul searching. And what I did is for people to understand about me, I did a 5-part series called the Megaman's Life, which talks about my childhood until now, what I've been through, so people can understand about me and get to know me. So when people call me Megaman, I say, why do they call you Megaman? Well, that to me was my favorite game in Nintendo.
Yeah.
So
Is it like when you were a kid?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it was just like you just like you didn't have a family, so you just focused on video games kind of thing?
No, not really. Just I had family here and there, but like Nintendo, that was my favorite Nintendo game and stuff.
Yeah.
But
did you ever beat it?
No.
No, yeah, it's impossible.
It's impossible.
Yeah, that game's insane.
I stopped at Mega Man 4, but it's
you know
just
what
too
game I
much.
did beat though was Mega Man X. That was a good one. Super Nintendo? You ever play that one?
No, I have it on Xbox One, the whole collection of Megamans. Yeah, so
I haven't
have that.
gotten that one yet, but I want to. Anyway, so Megaman was your favorite game?
Yeah. So I did that, and I wanted to do the whole story about my life and everything. And so when I did is I would just didn't know what to do, so I would just come out on these solo rants and everything. And all of a sudden, one day, I was thinking like, you know what? I'm gonna start bringing on guests and see. So I did a live in like almost like the end of like last year, and I said, you know what? I'm gonna go hard on my podcast because I feel like there was people like, oh, when people start their own podcast, how long is he gonna do it for?
Yeah.
Is he gonna stop? If it's too much?
It's
like,
I feel like that with any project, and I want to dip my fingers in a lot of different things.
Yeah.
And then when you tell people you want to do it, they don't take it seriously. They need to see that you're actually doing it for a while before they take you
I
seriously.
got that a lot.
Yeah.
I got that a lot.
So was it hard for you to get guests? Is that what you're kind of trying to say?
No, because I follow a lot of people on Instagram, a lot of famous people, comedians, brewery celebrities here and there. So it's all about the timing.
Yeah.
And I felt like, well, let's see how Megaman is. So when I started getting guests, maybe friends here and there, I think my very first celebrity guest I had was shout outs to Tanya Estrada.
Okay.
And I had Tony A the Wizard. I had MC Poncho. I had Tito, the Hood Santa. He's a native from Long Beach.
The Hood Santa?
The Hood Santa.
So he goes around the hood and he gives kids gifts
in the community, like when the holidays come and everything.
Yeah.
And that guy, you have to hear that episode because that guy gives so much to the community of Long Beach.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, he does. He used to be a producer. He used to make beats for Snoop Dogg and and everything like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
He didn't go by the Hood Santa back then, though.
I don't think
Yeah.
so. I don't think so.
That'd be funny. This song was produced by the Hood Santa. So you've gotten a lot of people through Instagram.
And I listened to a lot of podcasts like George Perez Stories. Shouts to Felipe Esparza from the What's Up Food podcast, Martin and Huda Moreno from the Yo 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 podcast, Beto Duran, and Joe Rogan. So I listened to a lot of these podcasts, and what I was doing, I would tag them on my stories and be like, who's Megaman? Megaman, always posting, always showing love and everything. That's what I was doing, just showing love.
Yeah.
But I don't want people to see me as a fanboy. I want people to see me like, oh, what's this guy about?
Okay.
So that's what I did. And that's why when I started doing the podcast, I was trying to get my recognition known, not inside of Long Beach, but outside of Long Beach in the comedy world, podcast world, brewery world, small businesses, whatever I can do to spread that love around, no matter what.
So you have a lot of different interests in a lot of different things. The brewery, you were saying. So, what is the main? If you were to say that you had a main focus, is there any sort of main focus for your podcast? I
like to be more independent.
Okay.
Like how Joe Rogan, I mean, you don't want to copy, but Joe Rogan has different people. I want to keep people on their toes. Like maybe one day I'll have a brewery guy. The next week I'll have an entrepreneur, or next week I'll have a craft beer brewery guy, or a comedian, or this or whatever, or it's just random,
Yeah.
That's what I like to keep it like that.
With it being so random, do you ever find yourself like not being able to go toe to toe with someone? Like, if you, let's just say you had like I don't know, a rocket scientist, for example, right? Someone who's like crazy smart. And then they come up to you and they're like, oh, well, if you take an engineering, blah, blah, blah. And you're just like, okay. Like, or how, has that ever happened to you?
No.
Everyone's usually like pretty cool about it.
I try to keep my podcast more smooth, try to keep it more like in the middle, like no drama, no confrontation and everything. I like to keep it very like more love.
Yeah.
When you do the podcast, you're all cool when you do the podcast, but when you're done doing the podcast, who knows if that person's going to be fake or not. I'm more real how it is.
Yeah. It's always a whole other story off the podcast, like after, usually because people were drinking, like as we're drinking a whole bunch of beer. And then afterwards, after you've talked to someone about 45 minutes and you kind of know their life story, then they're cool. They just want to hang out. They just want to like get a beer or whatever.
I mean, I'm pretty much in a way more cool, like when every time I have a guest on my podcast, it's nothing but love. It's nothing but family.
Yeah.
And I'm going to support them like no matter what.
Yeah, I was just listening to the last one. I think was that out today.
The
or
Hood
yesterday?
Foodie.
The Hood Foodie.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of love on that episode.
Lot
there
of
was a
love.
lot of him talking about like his motivations and why he became the thing that he's doing, and you kept bringing it back around to it's love for the community and wanting to put all that love out there.
Yeah, I mean, shouts to the Hood Footy, man. The story was, I heard him on the podcast with the Yo-Yo podcast with Martina Hooter, and his story was, he had a troubled life, and he was going through depression and everything. He overcome it.
Yeah.
Why they called you the Hood Footy, and he had showed nothing but love. Going to all these food places and everything. It was just inspiring. Like something more the passion. That's what I feel like. I had nothing going on for me. It's like, you know what? I'm going to start a podcast.
Okay.
And that's what I feel. And to me, I feel like I'll be straight up honest and no lie. I feel like to me, podcasts saved my life.
Yeah.
And
Why do you say that?
Because, when I work overnights, I'd rather be working overnights instead of going out to the bars drinking, getting into trouble, mischief,
Sure.
DUIs and all that.
Yeah.
And at the same time, I can be working overnight, supporting, making money, and at the same time, listening to different kind of podcasts and have a new perspective on certain things like, oh, I should have done it this way. And you have an open mind and you learn things, and it made me more smarter. It made me realize like, who I am or what I should be and how society and everything's just changing.
So you're flexing your like social and knowledge muscles in your brain every night.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's like instead of reading a book, because you can't do that passively necessarily.
I listen to podcasts.
Yeah, because you can do that passively. You can just sit there and like do your job and totally
Yeah.
listen to it and learn so much.
And to me, I can listen, she'll be a witness. I probably listen about, no lie, every day about maybe 6 to maybe 9 hours of podcast.
That's a lot of
Every day.
podcasting. Holy moly.
That'd be like 6 days,
Yeah.
and everything.
Yeah. Do you ever get bored of podcasts, or you just move on to the next one?
When I have people who message me like, hey, hear my podcast, like I have to hear it. On my library, I have no lie, I have about 63 different podcasts I listen to.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
That is a lot, yeah.
And then, listen to it, but it just depends. I could be in the mood, hearing MMA stuff, comedy, music, horror movies, conspiracies, just anything.
Yeah.
I like to be more like kind of more free.
There's so many different niches in the podcast world that you can basically talk about anything.
Mm-hmm.
I was just wondering, like, do you think there's any sort of genre that you like literally cannot make a podcast about because it's not possible, right? You can talk about anything in the whole world.
You can. I don't know. You can talk about anything.
Yeah. There's a podcast like all about corn. You can just talk about corn for forever, right?
Yeah, you could talk about anything. I always been that person who likes history, likes what the Roman Empire, World War II, what's been going on World War One, like all that stuff, how society was made, how we have democracy and everything, how it was, how it all started. I'm into that. It's like knowledge, like what's that? What they say about like people who get attracted by knowledge? You're like more like a saprosexual. Get attracted by people's intelligence.
Oh.
That's what I feel like I am.
Oh, I see.
So instead of like people who get attracted by, oh, she has a nice ass or boobs and everything,
Sure.
I get attracted by intelligence and knowledge,
Okay.
and everything.
So when you see a textbook, you go from 6 to noon.
Probably, and everything.
You can't go with 100 feet of a library because it's just crazy for you.
Yeah, just anything with knowledge talks about everything with like the past knowledge and all that stuff. It's very, very intriguing, and it's like very attractive to me.
Okay.
Yeah.
So where do you see your podcast going? What do you want to do with it?
Well, now that I got my podcast how I want it to be, like you have a format.
Yeah.
So what I like to do is, it just depends who I have on as my guest, like keep it more random. But I feel like with my podcast, I want to keep it more like I want to have a lot of comedians on 1 month. And the next month I'll have only focus on craft beers. And the next month I'll focus on small businesses and everything. But you're going to have those people who are going to criticize you, who DM like, hey, you shouldn't be doing this. You should have been doing that.
Sure. Do you get a lot of criticism?
Oh, yeah.
If you didn't shine so bright, there wouldn't be any shade.
Yeah. It used to bother me because I used to be really sensitive about it. But now I don't worry about that stuff anymore because maybe, maybe they see something in me that they don't like, or like, oh, whatever.
Yeah.
And you have your obstacles where you have other podcast listeners or other podcasts, or pretty much they're gonna fucking hate or whatever. But to me, I see when you do podcasts, we're all family. You're supposed to help each other out.
Yeah. It's like the Olive Garden in here. We're all family.
Well, she loves Olive Garden.
Yeah. You know what? Fun fact: never been to an Olive Garden. I don't know why that's fun.
Some serial killer shit right there.
I'm a sociopath.
You've
No, I've
never been family.
I've never been family with with anybody. No, I have never been. I really want to go. I almost went. I ended up going to Buca de Beppo instead. You ever been to Buca de Beppo?
That's a better move.
It's a better move. It's a
Where's
really
that at?
great restaurant. There's one off of Beach Boulevard on this.
It's over by like Bellaterra. That little
Bellaterra?
center over there, right? Isn't there one over there?
It's down that way by
Off the
Huntington
405.
Beach.
Huntington,
something.
man, I rarely go to Huntington Beach. I'm so like,
I don't go there either
Mhm.
because it's a little, not my demographic. But that Buca de Beppo is really good. It's like a really cool Italian restaurant.
Yeah, well,
They hook it up with the food.
I have to check it out. I mean, I'm so focused on Long Beach and it's LA scene here and there. It's like I just try to keep it more love in Long Beach.
Yeah. So
They got Buca de Beppo's in LA though. They're
do.
everywhere.
They're a chain. They're a chain. Yeah. But what's like your favorite spots in Long Beach then?
Well, right now I'm into the whole craft beer scene. Going to Liberation. Shouts to Dan Regan and Eric. Ambitious Ale, of course. They're like the Monkish of Long Beach. 10 Miles Brewery Steady. Just depends. Charborough's, you can go to 4th Street here and there. Sometimes in a way when my girl's at work, maybe I'll go to V Room in the morning.
Uh-huh.
Have a couple beers in here.
You and the construction guys.
Oh, I think it was a longshoreman, but there's times where I have a long day at work. I'll just go to V Room because they're like the only dive bar open at 6 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah. Yeah.
Everything.
Well, that sounds fun. I kind of want to join you next time.
Yeah, I'll buy you a beer.
Yeah.
You're not up at 6 a.m.
I'm not up at 6 a.m., but I feel like I'd make it a special trip if we pre-planned it.
I'll probably be over there maybe, once in a while, 7:30 to 8. Just have like a beer or two and just go home.
Sure.
And
And then you got
a
a nap. You take a midday nap. Yeah.
Because
you work at nights.
I work overnights. And so when I do working overnights, I can't say I'm a single father because my girlfriend, she can't want to be the camera. But I have 2 boys. I'm raising 2 boys on my own.
Uh-huh.
And everything, being like the mom and a dad.
Uh-huh.
So, yeah. I do all that stuff.
Interesting.
Yeah.
How old are your kids?
18 and the other one's 10.
You're an older kid.
Yeah.
Not a kid.
Yeah, my
You got
oldest,
a man. You got a little man.
my oldest son, Gavin, he's 18. He's high function he has autism.
Okay.
So yeah, he can do a lot of stuff, but there's some stuff I have to help him out.
What kind of stuff does autism? How does that affect him? What is it? I'm not too familiar with autism.
Autism is more like his memory, like I have to teach him a couple times, He's one of those if I change something, it would just mess everything up for him.
Okay.
He has a routine and everything and all that, but he's a very, very, very good kid. He's going to graduate from Jordan High School, and that kid is I've been through a lot of stuff with him, you know, and this is pretty much I'm sorry I don't want to cuss or anything.
You can cuss all you want.
It's pretty fucked up to say that their mother gave up on them, and she just, I can't do it. So I just took them in, and I've been raising my boys ever since.
Yeah. So she's not around at all anymore?
Well, she sees the kids like once or twice a month, but it's not the same,
Yeah.
It's hard to be like that mother figure because I don't know how to be a mom. I don't know how to be a father and a mother. But
It's 2 boys?
2 boys.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
everything.
Well, at least you didn't have 2 girls,
I have a daughter.
Oh, you do have a daughter?
I have a daughter
Okay.
with my ex, and I see her like maybe twice a week, but I haven't seen her because she was a little too busy. But 2 weeks ago, 2 or 3 weeks ago, I just my daughter was going through cancer, and she's only 2 years old.
What?
Shit.
So she had a tumor in her stomach. So they took the tumor out of her stomach, was the size of a pomegranate, and they took one of her kidneys out.
What?
Wow.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, man.
Yeah, and she was going through all the chemo, and at the time, I hardly saw my daughter. The situations with me and my ex, it's personal, but long
Sure.
thing. But I've been seeing my daughter mostly, and now that my daughter's cancer free now, but she still has to see the
That's
doctor
awesome.
like 2 times a year. But yeah, she's doing really, really good now.
Wow.
That's awesome to hear.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
good.
congrats on that being
Yeah.
a success and stuff.
Yeah.
Wow. How does that happen at that age? Is that,
I don't know.
yeah, it's just like a random,
I don't know. I just
Yeah.
didn't see it. You know, like I guess in a way her stomach was bloated or something, and they find, and all of a sudden like they found like a fat tumor in her stomach. So
wow, size of a pomegranate, you said.
yeah.
Wow, that sounds
Yeah.
huge.
I have pictures, I have videos and everything. I was there when they did the surgery and stuff, and yeah, it was
Wow.
something. But we're getting the relationship back, you know, because I wasn't around for 6 months. You know, it was the court orders and stuff like that with
Sure.
me and my ex. But now that we came to a agreement and stuff, I'm going to be in my daughter's life much as I can, you know. So I have pretty much been busy, you know, working overnights, you know, raising 2 boys on my own. I have a daughter. I have this beautiful girlfriend, you know, my girl, Cynthia. I'm going to have...
She doesn't want to be on camera.
I know she'll be on camera. But this person, we used to go out, and for some reason, things happen for a reason. And like last year I was going through a funk, and her dad was going through some sickness. And for some reason, I was coming home from work, and I was like, I'm going to go to her shop. And I was going on Anaheim and Atlantic, you know, I want to make a stop. And for some reason, she was like, what the fuck is this guy doing here? It was like, ugh. She gave me that look like, what the fuck you want? And we started talking and everything, and we rekindled the fire, and we've been together ever since.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
Okay.
awesome.
So she went
Yeah.
from rolling her eyes at you
Yeah.
to being like, let's get a drink.
Well, at the time, I was in a relationship. I was married, but it was already going downhill. We were already separated. And so, like, at the time, it just wasn't the right timing.
I see.
But now everything came together, and now it's good.
Okay.
So I have everything going on, like my work,
Yeah.
my girl, my boys, my daughter, my podcast, and everything.
Yeah. And you're about to have another kid.
Yeah.
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 How are you going to juggle all that? With your noggin.
Noggin.
Yeah.
It's
Time
like some people
management.
get overwhelmed, but I don't know how to manage it. You know?
Yeah.
For some reason, I think I'm just used to pressure.
Okay.
Yeah, and everything. But I know how to manage it. I already have a game plan. We're already saving up money. We might stay in Long Beach, or we might move to Downey. It just depends.
Long Beach is getting so expensive now.
Very expensive.
Yeah. I am in a studio apartment right now, and I think we pay about, we did pay about 1,000 or whatever. And they just raised our rent, 1,100.
Yeah.
And they just raised our rent again. So I'm really bummed.
Shit.
And the every year they keep raising the rent, even on this place that we're in now, right? And eventually they're talking about putting in the Angel Stadium
I
here.
heard about
And
that.
I'm like,
I don't
what
think
the
that's a
fuck?
good idea.
That's not gonna happen. There's no way that's gonna happen.
It's not going to
Oh yeah, it's not gonna happen.
It's not going to happen because I heard they're going to build it right there by the aquarium. First of all, where's all the cars are all going to come to Ocean? It's going to be traffic. It's
Yeah.
like it's going to be
Yeah.
crazy.
It's gonna be crazy.
Yeah.
And then, not to mention, we're already having problems with Airbnb people, and all. It's hard enough to buy a house here or even get a.
Everyone's moving out.
It's gonna be crazy.
Everyone's
There's no way.
moving out.
I don't think it's gonna happen.
Yeah, it just
It's all just bargaining.
yeah.
They're just
What do you mean?
like the owner will say, "Oh, we're gonna move to Long Beach just to like
Oh, just
leverage
like get more
the
money out of
city.
Anaheim.
to try and get them to build a new stadium."
Yeah. Well, I hope it
Yeah.
works out for them and they
Well,
don't come here.
Coincidence. I DM Jerry Garcia. I'm trying to have him on my podcast because I need to know what the fuck is going on in Long Beach right now, where people are just moving out.
Oh, you mean the mayor?
Oh yes.
Yeah.
And he just doesn't. They don't respond.
Yeah.
But I want to have him on my podcast. Got to know, like, hey, what is going on in Long Beach?
Yeah.
I mean, they're spending millions and millions of dollars on a freaking swimming pool, and you should be using that money to help out in schools.
What swimming pool?
The
The
Belmont,
Olympic one?
the big one, that Belmont. Trying to get ready for the Olympics.
Yeah, they're gonna use it for the Olympics.
Wait.
The one
Olympics
they tore
are
it
coming
down.
here?
What?
Yeah.
The Olympics are coming here to LA or what?
Yeah, they're gonna be here in 20. 2024, I think.
Yeah.
Oh, I had no idea.
Yeah, they're trying to build the swimming pool so they can have the Olympics here. They're trying to build like a fast train here or other, like, like the Blue Line. They want
Yeah.
to make other kind of trains around to commute to all when the Olympics come.
Oh.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff.
Yeah, there's a bunch of stuff being developed
Yeah.
in preparation.
I will say, though, a train would be helpful. A fast train.
Well, there's a train.
Yeah.
The
And
Blue Line.
they're making it faster right now. That's why it's closed.
Oh.
It's closed till June.
Wait.
That's why you see a lot of small businesses popping up, and also you're gonna see a lot of craft beer breweries popping up here left and right.
It's already happened.
Oh,
Yeah,
boy.
for sure.
It's already happened.
And
even more so.
and they say they don't want to open a craft beer breweries over here in Long Beach because the restrictions, the laws are really like anal, and that's why it's like it's hard to open a brewery in Long Beach. But hey, that's how it is.
I think a few years ago they lifted a bunch of those, which makes it a lot easier. That's why you see a lot more popping up at the moment.
I do know
But I know it's paying the
that I feel like the city's they're just stingy with everything. Like, if you want, no matter what business you want to open, they're very stingy. I know a lot of venues when they try to open here, it's like impossible for them to get an entertainment license to have bands and stuff.
Mhm.
4th Street Vine, for example, they wanted to have an entertainment license so they can have bands, and it took them like a year or something to finally get one. It took forever, and in the meantime, they would have to get a permit for every show, and then they couldn't have
wow.
like loud bands. They
I
could only
didn't
do
know
like
that.
acoustic stuff. It was like a whole thing, and yeah, they just want money. The city just wants money.
I feel like Long Beach, they only focus on certain parts. Like, they don't want to focus on the west side. They want to focus on 4th
Yeah.
Street
Yeah.
or Pixby Nose
Yeah,
and
yeah.
everything and all that stuff. But come on, like, we live in the east side of Long Beach, and everything.
I went to Bigsby Knolls just the other day, and I parked and I looked around and I went, "Oh, I'm brown here." You know what I mean? And I don't feel that around here, like on 10th Street, Anaheim, like
It's
Cambodian
not that
area.
crazy.
Not
over
that
there. I mean,
crazy.
I live over there.
Yeah,
It's not that crazy.
you're white.
I know I'm white, but Francesca's not.
That's how I felt when I.
But it
parked.
is for sure way more older white people over
Yeah,
there.
I know, that's
than
just
you'll
how I
see
felt
over here.
about it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, here it's like it's
It's
really
old money
diverse.
over there.
It's old money.
Yeah, it's old money.
Yeah.
It's like old oil money over there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how it is. Pixby's, they have the little entourage, little community alliances. But I mean, I go everywhere. Sometimes I might go to the Hawk Bar, or maybe
Sure.
I might go here tomorrow to Alex's bar, karaoke night, $1 beer night
Is that tonight?
tomorrow, Tuesdays.
Oh, thank God! I was gonna go to that if it was true. Which yeah. So, anyways, have you ever thought about instead of getting the mayor, getting like the downtown business association or something? Getting someone who's like business related to the city who can give you answers, but someone who goes to those meetings, but
That'd be
not
good.
necessarily the mayor.
That'd be a good idea.
Yeah.
And everything. Talk, the councilman and everything.
Yeah.
They can see what's up.
Yeah.
know,
So I
but
feel like you're aiming for the top dog. You know what I mean?
you gotta know what's up.
Yeah.
I mean,
I mean,
this
if
is
you
his
could
second
catch
term.
him, if you could catch that Pokemon, that'd be great.
I mean, he's always
Wow.
in. I mean, hashtag. I mean, he's always at Pixby Nose for some
Yeah.
reason.
Oh,
Yeah,
shit.
I see him there,
Yeah.
and be like, "Oh, hey, you're always at Pixby Nose, but what about the other areas?"
Yeah. Yeah.
I didn't vote for him, but I mean, I don't know. It's just, I think he's just trying to focus and trying to go to Sacramento.
Sure.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
Oh yeah.
I mean, he's a really young guy.
Mhm.
He's very career focused, very career minded.
I don't know if he's the first gay mayor.
I think
Ever?
he is. Well,
I think
in
he
Long
is.
Beach, yeah.
In Long Beach, yeah.
Yeah.
That's why he's getting, the first gay mayor, and that's why it's like he's getting well known.
Sure.
Because we know Long Beach is all gays and lesbians and
Right.
its community and stuff. It's all
Yeah.
love, and everything.
Well, I know that guy who wants to run for president. What's his name? Paul Beetlejuice.
I don't know.
Beetlejuice?
I'm really out of the loop on all that.
Okay, well, there's this politician who he's a mayor in Iowa, and Iowa is the same state that Mike Pence comes from, and Mike Pence who's famously anti-gay. He's very religious, very conservative, but this guy who's the mayor there, he's doing really well too, and he's so popular right now on media. Like, he goes on interviews on like Daily Show and all these things because he's underage for running for president. But in a few years he wants to run, and I'm very hopeful because he's like young, he is gay, and he's really forward thinking, I guess.
Yeah, I just man, I mean, I try to stay away from politics, but I mean, we ever since when Obama, went out of office and now Trump, we don't know what's going on with the United States. If it's divided, I mean, are they going to separate to different states? How California's going to be divided to different states?
I don't think that's going to happen.
That's not gonna
You never
happen.
know.
That's not gonna happen.
You never know, but I feel like if anything, they're just going to be like, fuck off California, period. Like,
Yeah.
they don't want us. But we make them too much money anyways.
Yeah. I mean, they're always going to come try to get the votes or the famous votes and everything in California.
Yeah.
But I think in a way, like with how society is now, like we just open our eyes and everything and see how society is. It's more like, hey, no, we're not gonna deal with your propaganda. We see what's up.
Yeah, but I also feel like there is the liberal propaganda. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like I'm pretty liberal, but I'm also not like crazy liberal. You know what I mean? Like when I see all these things in the media that are, what do we call it? We call it almost like you're jumping on this bandwagon. I look,
Like
I step,
echo chamber.
yeah, like an echo chamber or whatever. You have to step back and read the conservative side too and see like, why do they want to do that thing that we hate so much? There must be some reason that makes sense to them, right? They're not crazy. They're not psychos. But then again, there's the outliers. Those are the people we focus on. Like when we think about the Nazis, the American Nazi parties or whatever. And then there's such a small amount of people who are actually doing that. You know what I mean? Like the majority of
Right.
people in the country.
They just get the most coverage. 'cause
Yeah,
it sells.
exactly. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I see your point. Yeah, it's just everything's just divided. Everyone has their little parties here and there,
Yeah.
like who's gonna best off each other
Right.
and stuff like that. Yeah.
But I will say something that the conservatives do very well is that they just stick together. They don't agree with Trump, most of them. They run and hide when the media comes to come talk to them. Like, why did Trump do this? They run away. They don't want to talk about it.
You know, with the media, I try not to focus on the news and media because I feel like they give us fake shit.
Sure.
I'd rather just hear it from Joe Rogan or from someone really, really big up and stuff because, you never know if these news are Democrats, Republicans, liberals, I don't know what Trump is doing right now. I mean, is he going to be impeached? I mean, is he doing this? I mean, I don't know.
Well, that Mueller paper came out, and apparently he's good. Nothing's going to happen at the moment.
He has his ways, He has his ways, of trying to like dodge bullets and everything and stuff like that.
It's weird. So weird how untouchable Trump is.
Well, I mean, he could say whatever. Well, we were talking earlier about the whole thing with Twitter with Joe Rogan. We're talking about like you can get banned if you say this and this. But why is it okay for fucking Trump to say whatever he wants, but they don't fucking ban him?
Yeah,
I don't know why.
it is weird.
Like grab him by the fucking pussies and this, whatever. But I mean, who knows?
Yeah, I have no idea.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where can we find your podcast?
You can find my podcast on Instagram, the Megaman's podcast on Instagram. Also, you can find my personal page, the Megaman 6980, Facebook and everything. You can find me on all platforms except for SoundCloud. Like iTunes, Spotify, Stitchers, and all that stuff.
That all gets distributed by Anchor?
Yeah.
I gotta check Anchor out because I'm doing our podcast through SoundCloud mostly.
Yeah, SoundCloud, like to me, I like it because I can use it. I could, do my podcast on my iPhone. I can get a microphone. I can travel and everything. But with SoundCloud, like it just depends, But it's on it. They do it on 11 platforms like Anchor, Podbean, Radio Public, Castbox, Spotify, Stitchers, like the whole 9 yards and everything.
Yeah.
It's easy.
Okay, I'll have to check that out.
Mm-hmm.
And I like to ask 2 questions before we close out the podcast. I always ask the same 2 questions. And I'm going to try to reform them because I usually ask them for musicians.
Go for it.
So usually what I ask a musician is, the first one is if he has any musicians' horror stories, like something that happened at a show that like if something crazy happened, you want to tell a crazy story, right? But
I got a story.
I feel like for you, okay, well, like music related?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I was thinking for you, it could be more like their podcast related, like something crazy that happened in your time of doing podcasting.
You want to do with the music one?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. So at the time I was with my ex-wife, she was a metalhead, and we went to go see Devil Driver, Lamb of God, Kill Switch Engage over here at the Long Beach Arena.
Very cool.
And we were kind of like right there where you see the mosh pit and everything. and I never told my story about this to my girl. She'd be like creep out. I was shaking my head and I was drinking too much Monsters, and all of a sudden, no lie, I lost my balance shaking my head, and the balcony right there, I lost my balance and I flipped and fell down.
Whoa.
And hit my face first.
Damn.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I was like, what the heck just happened?
Yeah.
I just lost my balance because I don't know what happened, but I feel like my ex-wife kind of like pushed me.
You think she pushed you?
I think she pushed me on accident.
Like a Lion
But I
King
lost
sort
my
of situation?
Yeah, I lost my balance and I tried to grab her and I lost and I just flipped 2 times.
Yeah.
And hit face first. Luckily, I put my hands like this.
Oh, okay.
And I covered because I didn't want to break my nose and everything.
Yeah,
I was just
yeah.
I was okay. It's like, you okay? Yeah.
Yeah, but you had that cracked out monster energy, so you probably just stood right back up and started moshing again,
So
right?
what they did is they're promoted by rock stars with everything. So they had like this humongous fucking pyramid of rock stars, and we're just drinking like a whole bunch of it, like whatsoever. And I was like, I had like I don't know, like 40 of them.
No way.
And we were just like, going crazy mosh pit, and all of a sudden, when I knocked out, that's when they did the whole death wall where they come together. Boom.
Oh my gosh.
And I felt like someone stopped my legs because I felt like I was in that stampede. Luckily, there was 2 guys who grabbed me and pulled me out.
That's good. Yeah.
know.
Yeah. In a mosh pit, you got to have like that bro mentality, right? You got to pull people up.
For sure.
You know?
I seen one time when they did the mosh pit, the whole thing, there was 2, I'll never forget, 2 hot ass white girls right there, pretty. It's like, and my ex-wife was like, I think they're gonna get their asses kicked. It's like, why so? You see those 2, 3 big girls, those white big girls right there. It's like, yeah, it's like they're gutting. They're pointing at them.
Oh no.
So when they did the wall, when it came together, those 2 big white girls, they charged at her and fucking drop kicked both of them and knocked them out and everything. It goes crazy, man.
Damn.
I was like, next time, bring a fucking mouthpiece going to a metal show.
That's that Red Bull action.
I don't know.
Next time I have a concert, I'm gonna bring a ton of Red Bull for everybody.
Oh, yeah.
It's gonna be a party. Jeez,
Or
that's a good
bath
story.
salts.
Yeah.
Or bath salts.
Yeah, that'd be good too.
I don't know about that guy from Miami.
We're just like eating each other's flesh. All right. So, anyways, the last question I always like to ask is for I usually ask for a musician's inspiration. So something but in your case, a podcast or something that you learned in your life that can motivate someone to getting their gear and they're getting asses in gear and to doing something.
Motivate someone. It depends of what they're going through in life. I feel like my motivation when someone tells me you're never gonna make it, you're never gonna do this, you're never gonna do that. For me, I'm a type of person that I think about it all day, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna fucking do it. I'm gonna do this. I'm that, and I rather speak. I mean, actions are more louder than words, so I don't want to be a person of all talk. I want to show my actions. That's how I'm always am. So I feel like when people bring me down or talk negative of me, I feel like that's refueling me. Like, be motivated, be more hungry. Like, you know what? I'm going to outprove them. Say that I'm never going to amount to anything and everything. Or they say, hey, you know what? I can do a better podcast than you. Then I'll be like, go do it, homie.
Yeah.
Go do it. It's a grind.
I feel like that's motivation, though. Because I have a friend who does a podcast as well. I got inspired by his podcast to do my podcast.
Yeah.
And every time I do his podcast.
That first episode.
Huh?
I think it was the first episode, right?
His name's Psychic
like
Wave.
you guys were talking, you guys were talking about your podcast. We should do it this way and everything, and stuff like that. I remember. Yeah.
So he has got his podcast, and every time I go on his podcast, he found a new little trick. He found a new little something to make it better. And I see it, and I go, oh, that's cool. I'm gonna do that now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I try to one up it, and I think we have that healthy competition, and I think that's important too.
Well, you gotta have it to feed off each other,
Yeah.
and try to better off each other, but in a way help each other out. So your podcast and his podcast can go up and up and up.
Yeah.
But there's no egos.
There's no what?
There's no egos.
Eagles.
Like eagles,
Ego.
like ego. I mean.
Oh, ego.
I don't want to say eagles.
It's like eagles for
like
some
no ego. Like there's no like, oh, my podcast is better than yours. It's all love.
Yeah.
And that's the thing I noticed when I had my podcast. Before we go, there's a lot of negativity with other podcasters. I won't mention names, but I feel like they say, well, you should do it this way. You should do it that way. It's like, well, I know, but the way how you say it, you're more like maybe I'm bothering you because maybe your region, you're kind of like getting bothered because I know I have connections with people who I have on my guests, and be like, well, I'm trying to get this guest on for 3 years, but you got him overnight.
Yeah.
It's not about like, oh, because I have connections. It's like, well, I got to grind just like you, whatever.
Yeah.
Like if how your podcast is, like how it is, like I don't have a MacBook or cameras and this, whatever. I do everything on my iPhone.
Which is awesome, by the way, because you didn't wait till okay, so I know a lot of people, they get so excited about wanting to do a project, and then they just buy all the gear. Like they have like money so they can just make their thing happen.
You don't need all that.
No, you don't. And you have your phone, and you you said you have a snowball?
A Yeti Blue.
A Yeti Blue.
That's all you need.
Yeah, and you make a podcast out of that, and you get interesting people and having interesting conversations.
And I could travel, I can go to Northern California. I can do a podcast, maybe since I'm doing your podcast, maybe one day you'll do my podcast.
Sure, I'd love to do
everything.
your podcast.
And we can just help each other out no matter what.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Cool. Well, thanks for being on the show. Oh, man, I appreciate it.
Thank you. Subscribe to the Megaman's podcast, rate and review, leave me those 5 stars, everything. Just before we go, next month is going to be craft beer month. So I'm going to be focusing all on nothing but craft beers. And in June, I will be focusing on small businesses in Long Beach. That's it.
Whoop, whoop.
Whoop, whoop.
Derek, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Derek.
Cameras. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Do you have any parting words for the people?
Just swing by your local 7-Eleven and coat that throat.
Get that hot dog.
Get that.